Manipulative parasites, such as the parasitic fungus that ruptures the belly of the Drosophila Melanogaster fly to spread its spores, a parasite that infects the eyes of snails, and one that deforms the hind legs of frogs, are widespread throughout nature. And today, I'd like to introduce you to a parasite that manipulates its host in a rather unusual way by turning spiders into zombies. This is the Cyclosa argenteoalba spider, belonging to the genus Cyclosa. The moment it encounters a parasitic wasp called Reclinervellus nielseni, it's destined to meet a sad fate. As you may know, most parasitic wasps lay their eggs inside of a host's body. Then larvae hatch from these eggs and eat their way out of the host from the inside. The strategy of this parasitic wasp is a little different. First, it lays its eggs on the spider's exoskeleton, that is, on the surface of the body, rather than on the inside. Then the larva, after hatching from its egg, takes a seat on the spider's body and starts bulking up by sucking the spider's blood. Of course, while blood-sucking, it also injects certain chemicals into the body of the spider. In 2015, Dr. Keizo Takasuka from Japan hypothesized that these chemicals were closely related to ecdysteroid, a molting hormone in insects. However, we don't yet know enough about the ecdysteroid to be sure. Anyway, when Cyclosa argenteoalba is infected by wasp larvae, it does something really unique. As you can see here, the spider begins to remove all the nets from its web that it needs to catch prey. It looks like a process to stop the spider's hunting altogether and become a faithful servant to the wasp larva. After that, the spider does something even stranger. As you can see in this footage, it starts adding silk to the remains of the web to make it thicker and more dense. These spider webs are up to 40 times stronger than the normal variety. But why does the parasitic wasp larva make the spider act like this? First, adding silk compensates for tension in the web, which was lost in the process of removing the web's spiral-shaped nets. This prevents the cobwebs from breaking and the wasp larva falling to the ground with the spider. However, the real, most important reason is because of predators. In 2015, Dr. Keizo, who studied the behavior of this spider and the parasitic wasp, found that the spider's newly added webs prevented predators, such as birds, from flying into and colliding with the webs. The silk used to strengthen the spider's web, unlike other spider silks, reflects toxic ultraviolet radiation. Predators like birds perceive the web as an obstacle and avoid it, greatly reducing the risk of the web being destroyed. In other words, the wasp larva, by manipulating the spider into remodeling its net, gets to stay in the safety of the webs for about 2 weeks, until it grows into an imago, fully developed insect. You could say it manipulates the behavior of its host for protection. After the remodeling of the spider's web is complete, Cyclosa argenteoalba moves to the center of the web, and the wasp larva on its exoskeleton begins devouring the spider's body in earnest, leading to its horrific demise. After slurping up the last drops of moisture, the larva tosses away the spider's now empty husk. Then, as if the spider's web was its own house, it settles in the center of the web, spits a thread-like secretion, wraps it around itself, and begins spinning a cocoon. The cocoon is firmly anchored to the web, where the wasp larva metamorphosizes and develops into a full-fledged adult. After breaking out of the cocoon, the wasp will mate and will again go looking for a spider to serve as its host. In fact, out in nature, there are other parasitic wasps that, like this wasp, use their host for protection. In the case of the parasitic wasp, which lays its eggs on ladybugs, even if the eggs hatch into larvae, the ladybug does not die, but instead becomes paralyzed. Then, the larvae make a cocoon under the ladybug's legs, which naturally allows the ladybug to act as the larvae's shield. The strategy of parasitic bees belonging to the family Glyptopantulus, which parasitizes the moth, is even more fascinating. What you see here in the photo is the larva of a parasitic bee that paralyzes a moth caterpillar by burrowing through its body and developing a cocoon. But what's even more surprising is that the moth caterpillar doesn't die for a while and begins exhibiting strange behavior. As you can see, the caterpillar does not leave the cocooned parasite larva, and when a predator such as a beetle approaches, it relentlessly shakes its head to chase it away. It's like a faithful guard protecting the parasitic bee larva. Looking at the many parasitic life forms, I begin to wonder if there are any limits to the parasitic strategies of the natural world. Science is a window to the world. This has been Science Dream. Thank you for watching.